Hi, good evening. This is Beyond Today for Tomorrow, and I'm your host, Valerie. And tonight we're going to have just a brief discussion about three topics that I really think are important for us. Number one, we're going to discuss that Texas abortion ban bill. I know it's a touchy subject for some, and some people um, are feeling that they are left without options or hope, but there's always hope. We're also going to talk about reaffirming our purposes. And we're going to also just get into a brief discussion on self advocacy medication side effects. I know we've talked about side effects and being your own best advocate before, but we're going to we're going to go a little bit deeper than we probably touched on it in the past. So sit back, get your tea, get your water, get your cocktail, whatever you need to do. Let's get into it. So, welcome back. Yes, I am your host, Valerie, and this is Beyond Today for Tomorrow. So, recently, let me give a brief update on my medical journey. Basically, I told you guys if last week, as a matter of fact, that I'm feeling better, seeing positive changes, but I'm not seeing the pounds come off the scale. And I was really, really frustrated. And I actually went to one of my doctor appointments, follow ups, and she, however, was like super happy. She was like, I know you're not seeing it on the scale, but she was like, all of your blood work looks 100% better. She was like, it really wasn't bad before, but now it just looks like basically, in essence, I added years to my life. One of my platelet counts, which is your red blood count, your white blood counts, it was kind of off. And it was showing like signs of inflammation, like there was probably something going on that I didn't know about, AKA the thyroid cancer. But she was saying that's all reversed. She was like, even my oxygen intake levels, my oh, it's another one she looked at. All of my kidney functions, my liver functions, all of them look great. They were never in question, but still, she was just saying just how great the numbers look. And you always want to make sure your kidneys and your liver are functioning properly because they are the cleaning systems of your body. So you always want them to be functioning right. And that put me in the mind frame. I was a little bit disgusted, I will say that, because I'm like, look, help me find out how to get everything back so I can start being sexy Valerie again. Because let me be honest, that's pretty much all I really care about. Um, and it's not all that I care about, but it's a some that I care about. I feel like when you're single, I feel like you're always judged a little bit harder if you're not, keeping your health and your body together. And I know that's superficial, and I know you should love yourself, and I do love myself where I am right here, right now. I just know that there is a better version of me, and I want to be that better version for me, not for anyone else. So, but I'm still plugging away. I'm still working out, still eating right, still tracking my calories, tracking my eating habits. And it reminded me of the scripture in the Bible. It's actually Luke 17 and 14, where Jesus encountered some leopards and he instructed them to go tell the priests. And as they walked away, as they began their journey towards the priest, they were healed. The story further goes on to say some realized it, turned around and went and found Jesus, because why am I going to go tell the wrong person that didn't help heal me? So they went back to Jesus, and he was like, wasn't there like 10 of you guys? but they didn't recognize that. That was that aha moment where Jesus was really confirming that he is the Son of God and he is the true priest. But they didn't get that. That went over their head. And don't blame them, because actually they followed the instructions that he actually gave them. So I say all of that to say that sometimes we want our miracle to be instant. We want things to happen right then and right there. And unfortunately, sometimes you have to continue to walk out the process and stay committed to the process before you see your healing or your transformation. That's whether you're setting goals for yourself or whether you're dealing with a health challenge. Really, if you want to see change, you have to walk out the process and you have to be committed. And I had to encourage myself. I tell you guys all the time that I am literally sharing inspiration, motivation that I am giving to myself. Because how can I help encourage or motivate anyone else if I'm not doing it for myself? So, enough about that. I said one of the topics, and Carly, you can pull up the screenshot from the article. One of the topics I wanted to talk about was the new abortion bill that just recently went live in Texas, so to say. So, the title of the article, and I'm going to primarily be talking from key points from this article from NPR. I like NPR because it's a nonprofit, so it's really not about the big media personalities. They tend to be more accurate with their reporting than some of the ones that pay the big dollars for the names. So NPR is always a solid source, in my opinion. There will be others who believe they're more accurate, but this is for the purpose of this conversation. We're going to go with this article. It says what the Texas abortion ban does and what it means for other states. So, first of all, the abortion bill bans abortions as soon as a cardiac activity is detected. Supposedly, this is around 6 weeks, which is before a lot of people even know they're pregnant, before a lot of women know they're pregnant. The thing about Texas, other states have tried to do this, but those laws have been challenged by abortion rights groups and blocked by federal courts again and again. But we see that didn't happen in Texas. So, first of all, I'm going to say something that's going to piss a lot of people off, and I don't care. No sin is greater than the other. We've all have sinned and fallen short. So, you sanctimonious, arrogant conservatives who claim you are making laws to save our country and protect babies, bullshit. Because you are the same individuals that when this baby is born has a medical precondition, you want to argue whether or not to take care of the baby. You want to go on and on about how under low income families are using public assistance, and you don't want to help take care of the children once they turn 18. Because believe it or not, a lot of these children that you are wanting to be born are going to end up in foster care system, and they're going to not be adopted. Let's be realistic. They're going to either be in unsafe situations, unhealthy situations, but you want to pat yourself on the back because you've helped ban the killing of babies. How is it that more men have more conversation for what a woman should and should not do with her body? But let's talk about the same men who are probably taking Viagra or Cialis or whatever it is. If it's God's will for me to carry a baby, guess what? If your dick is limp, excuse my language, so this is not going to be a conversation for kids under 13. If your dick is limp, then guess what? It's God's will for that to remain. So let's not try to raise the dead. The thing about the Texas law that really irritates me, we already live in a society where Black people can't even gather together to have a good time without other races accusing them of conspiring or doing something that's breaking the law. We already have enough ignorant Karens in the world, and you're telling me that you're giving them a bill that can, in essence, resurrect the freaking Salem witch trials. So it breaks down to like this. You have a conversation with Judy. Judy decides to run her mouth to Craig. Craig tells Henry. Henry tells Betty. Betty decides that she's offended because you confided in someone that you are possibly considering an abortion so they can sue the people who, quote unquote, gained something financially from you getting an abortion. Bullshit. So let's say you took an Uber to the abortion clinic because you didn't want to share it with anyone. They could sue Uber. So not only does it become a matter of watching your neighbors and trying to pay attention to your neighbors, it's involving yourself in somebody's business that it should not be. It's no different than when they pulled the woman out in the Bible that was caught in the act of adultery, and Jesus, technically, he probably said, well, where was the dude? Because you know what? She didn't do it by herself. That's the thing that pisses me off about these laws. We are so quick to condemn women and hold women to an unrealistic standard of living when men themselves can't live up to the standard that they're proposing. Furthermore, how dare you try to prevent a woman from doing the best decision that she came up with? I don't care if it's just that she doesn't want kids. It's her life. It's her body. Be concerned with the life that is already here. Because regardless of what decision an individual comes to, it wasn't a decision made lightly. It's going to cost them something. I have friends on both ends of the spectrum that had abortions when they were younger. And I have friends that talk about guilt. So it's not a decision that they made lightly, but it was the best decision for that moment. And for that wheelchair, and God knows I'm not talking about anybody, but for that wheelchair rolling bastard that's in Austin that made the comment that he's going to stop rape and incest, bullshit. Because if you would have, it wouldn't be so many young ladies on college campuses afraid to report incidences of date rape before fear of being ignored, made to feel like, oh, she asked for it, and just this man gets me going. Let me calm down. It's more than, oh, we're going to start policing. If that was the case, the number of rape cases that are happening across the college campuses in Texas, Baylor, SMU, let's talk about them. They wouldn't be happening. There are people who are so focused on whatever serves their purpose at the moment that they are ignoring the trauma, that they are ignoring the abuse that individuals are truly, truly experiencing. Let's not even talk about the individuals that become pregnant as a result of molestation. How are you going to police that, Greg Abbott, when most kids don't even report it? How are you going to ask 13-year-olds, 10-year-olds to be a mother when they themselves are children? How are you going to say that this law protects them? It does not. It does not. When there are children, boys and girls across this state and the world who are being sex trafficked, who are being abused by people who they should be able to trust and protect them. This law does not have their best interest at heart. And for the people that say that they are not turning you against your neighbors, yes, you are. Because one of the great commandments says, Jesus says, how can you love me who you've never seen, but you can't love the person that you see right in front of you? And if your love is conditional, as long as I do the same, if I live according to the same rules that you live by, that's not loving your neighbor. Seriously. So back to this law. The law empowers individuals to enforce the abortion ban. How would that work in practice? Anyone who successfully sues an abortion provider under the law could be awarded at least $10,000. Why is Becky telling my business, and why is she entitled to sue the doctor that helps me if I was in need? How is that $10,000 helping Becky? And why is Becky the Texas Right to Life? Why have they set up a whistleblower website? See, when they start passing these laws and we start electing people who look good on poster boards, but really they don't have the common sense that God has gave them. As one of my friends tells me all the time, Valerie, common sense is not common. So we elect people that we think are going to vote for us, but they don't. Because if they truly had our intentions in mind, there were enough women who spoke out across the state of Texas that this law shouldn't have even been on the docket. But medical marijuana should have, but they won't even discuss that. But they brought it up to a 1%. And there are people who've had to move out of the state to actually get the medical assistance they need. But these are good Christian folks. These are people who believe in God. Guess what? I believe in God too. But I also know that life happens. Even with the best intention, life happens. So I'm going to go on. The lawsuits are not against women. Lawsuits would be against individuals making money off of the abortion industry itself. How do you clearly define that? And how can you say it's not against women? How about, since the woman has to foot it, where's the father that helped create the life? Because last time I checked, it takes 23 chromosomes from a man and 23 chromosomes from a woman to come together to make a life. So if we want to split everything 50-50, stop putting the brunt of the responsibility on the woman. They do the same thing when it comes to prostitution. That they will charge a woman, but the man gets to walk away literally scot-free. And the only time this country ever gave a flying biscuit about someone's infidelity was when Bill Clinton received oral sex from Monica Lewinsky. That's the only time it really became a discussion, because most of the time our country is full of hypocrites because they believe men will be men, but women should sit back and birth their babies. And, oh, it's so nice you want to have a career. Oh, it's so nice you want to add something more to your life than being someone's mother. I'm a mother. I love being a mother. Would I do it again? Absolutely. But that's me. But I also do not believe in forcing other people who may not want to be a mother to be a mother. That's where we see stories like children who are victim of abuse and neglect, or mothers and fathers who, left one kid to raise the other kids while they went on to live their life. You could force a child into a situation that you're not prepared for. And you wonder why America is having some of the struggles that we're having. We're too busy sweeping around everybody else's front porch instead of sweeping around our own. We're too busy trying to make sure we police everything that doesn't have a hill of beans to do with you. It doesn't. I hate to say it. All these old Bettys that are parading in front of the news cameras and saying that, oh, I'm trying to save a life. No, bitch, you're trying to develop a purpose because you don't have one. Get some business. So, the thing that really concerns me about this bill is that what if there's a medical reason, like the chromosome got together and this person is excited, but yet they found out that there's going to be a deformity on the baby. So, and this family makes the tough decision to abort the pregnancy. So instead of being able to get safe medical care, they probably have to go look at alternative methods or maybe go to a different state where they may have to travel, they have money to get there to travel there, but they don't stay long enough and they come back home and then she has a bad reaction. Where can she go and get help? Or maybe people start looking at backwoods methods. I would rather people get the proper care that they need. That's what I care about. I am smart enough to know that even people with the best intentions sometimes get it wrong. And I realize that. And the purpose that true advocates need to do is help individuals who may find themselves in need of an abortion, help them find alternatives, help them decode the law. And it's going to have to turn into one of those secret societies where you meet up with people who will truly help you and not pass judgment. I know I was supposed to read the article, but this has been such a hot topic with me because let me tell you, I care about people. I am probably going to be, and my friends tell me all the time, don't do this, but I'm the person that if I see someone hungry, I'm going to feed them. I am not going to sit here and berate them because they have a need. I'm not going to question them how they got here with the need or did they see the need coming, because sometimes life will throw you a curveball. But I will say this bill should help individuals across the country become more committed to finding safer methods of birth control for women, making the morning after pill more accessible, even to the point where there are young individuals who are being molested. They should have access to that too. If they are able to talk to a nurse, they should be able to get help from that nurse without the nurse judging them. Because you have to realize there are people who are going to be in unfortunate situations who won't have the financial means to go get the help that they need. So we need to make sure we have resources ready to give those individuals. I'm not making judgment one way or another. I just want us all to be able to help each other and be realistic that regardless of how we feel about a subject, there's always a second side to that subject. There's always a reason that you never would have thought. So when you go and make assessments haphazardly and you're judging on the outside, stop and really take a moment and put yourself in that person's shoes. because doctors who were there to help people are now not being able to help as freely as they should be able to. I don't want to spend too much time on this topic, but I will say this. Make sure you have resources. Call 211 Texas to find resources for birth control. Reach out to Planned Parenthood. Reach out to the community centers that have the health care and find options for you. And let's be realistic. If there's a child that comes to you and tells you that they're being abused, help them find resources. Help them report the crime. And be a listening ear when they report the crime, not a judgmental ear. Because trust me, there's nothing, absolutely nothing a kid can do, a child can do to cause someone to abuse them. So when our states and our federal government is failing to act quickly to help block such legislation from being passed, we have to fill in the gaps. We have to be the hands and the resources that some of these people are probably going to need. This is what it truly means to be a Christian. Jesus was the Son of God, and sometimes he had to preach in people's home. You have to live out the life. There were people you could have gotten arrested or stoned to even associate with Jesus. But there were people who put their reputation to the side to do just that. So if you really love him like you say you do, if you find someone that happens to be in need of an abortion and they're beyond the 6 weeks and they're past the morning after pill or the contraceptive or the birth control pill, whatever didn't work, because let's face it, sometimes birth control methods can be more deadly for women than the abortion. That's another topic for another Friday night. But let's help them. Let's help them find resources, even if that means helping them get out of state. I know that that is a hard decision to do, and sometimes it's going to be costly. But think about, what would you do if it was you? Now I'm going to get off my soapbox. I'm going to take a quick break. Carly, take us into break. And when we get back, we're on to our next topic.
What up, y'all? It's Michael Sean from Michael Sean and the Takeover Legends. And just in case you missed the show, check this out. Well, hold up, Claudia. You made that, or is that an Uber Eats, or is that?
Look, like she don't cook. Look at her face. Like,
I just want to make sure you made that.
Michael Sean and the Takeover Legends, where the truth hurts, but also makes you laugh.
I made breakfast. Look, I hooked it up. I had some home fries.
Oh, damn.
that's real breakfast.
Mushrooms in it and peppers and jalapenos and some bacon. I was like, if I'm going to be up this early, I'm going to make some breakfast. How y'all doing this morning?
Hey.
KJ! They said, you made that? I said, they asked if it was Uber Eats. Can you tell the fellas?
Uber Eats.
Was that Uber Eats, KJ? Keep it real. Keep it 100.
No, that's not Uber Eats. I cooked that.
Michael Sean and the Takeover Legends. Your escape from reality. Right here on Free Agent Radio.
So welcome back. Again, I'm sorry I got so passionate. I really tried to wait to discuss this because I knew I was so emotional about it. Like I said, I never personally had to make that decision, but I've had friends that had to make the decision. And because I have never walked a mile, a moment, or a second in their shoes, I was just a listening ear. And I was thankful that they were able to get quality care And at the end of the day, that's all I care about. So the next thing I wanted to discuss tonight was reaffirming purpose. I told you guys, a few weeks ago, I told you guys I switched from Wednesday night to Thursday night. Oh, I'm not there yet, Carly. That's going to be next. And one of the things that I had to do at first, I was like, oh, I haven't built up followership. I'm not going to do this. But then I started hearing feedback from people who were watching my show, and they were being encouraged, being empowered to speak up, to research, and to look further into details concerning them. And I wanted to specifically take a few moments to say, your dream, your passion was given to you for a reason. It may not pay your bills now, but if you keep hustling, keep chasing it, it can eventually get to the point where it does help pay your bills. But you have to remember that to make anything happen, it's not going to happen overnight. Sometimes you'll get the promise and the call years before you actually see it pay off. Don't give up too quick. Don't turn around. Find that motivation from somewhere deep within and hang in there. My producer, love her. Love Shawnee and Carly. They're amazing. And the other day I was at the gym with Shawnee and she corrected me, and I appreciate her correction. Because one of the, in my future shows, I'm going to have our trainer, Jay, on. And that is not her name, but I do not believe in butchering people's names. So she's going to pronounce it for us. And I was like, yeah, I'm doing a show. I'm trying to empower the community and people. And Shawnee was like, no, you are empowering people. We have to stop those. Remember a few weeks ago, I said those little things we're telling ourselves between our two ears, what we let come out of our mouths will be our self-fulfilling prophecy. So we have to call things are not as though they are. You have to stay positive and stay motivated. And you have to have a cause that is more pressing and more prevalent than the lack of success you may be seeing for a moment. But you don't give up. Don't quit. Keep pressing forward because the sun is going to shine at some point. And think about how awesome you're going to feel to know that you made it through those moments of discouragement. And you got to live to experience the success. Oprah didn't start out the queen of talk. You've seen those clips of Oprah before Oprah was all that. I've seen various motivational speakers, and they were like, it wasn't always the glamour covers and the glamour travel and the packed hotels. It wasn't all that at first. You always have to crawl before you walk. So keep reaffirming yourself. You have to believe in you when nobody else does. That comes down to our health. That comes down to our personal goals and our aspiration. It comes down to even when it comes to our fitness journeys. One workout does not take off 10 pounds. When you hit a certain age, honey, when you hit over 40, you're going to have to do a few workouts, a few meals the right way before you start seeing some change. So don't get discouraged. Don't give up. Even when you are encountering roadblocks and opposition, soon as I was getting excited, I built up a little rhythm. I would do my research, prepare my blogs. And then I was like, oops, work got out of control. Yes, because I do have to pay my bills. And it's one of those things you're like, really? I'm not even seeing the success in that aspect that I'm ready to see, but it serves a purpose. And yet you still have to remain faithful and committed. And that's what I chose to do. So I wanted to take a few minutes to remind you now is a good time. Most people have gone, most kids have gone back to school. Life is taking on a little bit more of our familiar routines. So continue to reaffirm your purpose. Remember why you got started in the first place. Because whatever you are giving to the world or creating for the world, whatever your art or your craft or your gift is, somebody needs it. So don't give up and don't quit. When we come back, we're going to talk about our last topic of the night, self-advocacy, medication side effects. Carly, let's go to second break. No, the second break, but if you don't.
What up, y'all? It's Michael Sean from Michael Sean and the Takeover Legends. And just in case you missed the show, check this out.
Let me call. I gotta call Coco Brown. Coco, good morning. Wait, is she up? Let me call her. I'll be back.
She might be asleep.
I'll be back.
Hold on. No. Don't go nowhere because I'll call her too.
Mike's calling D. Ray Davis live.
No, I'm calling Coco.
Calling Coco
Yeah,
live. Oh, she sent you the voicemail? That was fun.
We're about to start terrorizing everybody.
It's just calling people in our phones. I like it. Try the Diddy number. Try to call Diddy.
I don't have a Diddy number. Why?
Right, I'm gonna
I
send
don't
it
have
to you. I wanted to come from
No, you call it. You
No.
call the Diddy number.
No,
I'm not gonna do it from my phone. Why I gotta do it from my phone? Shorty's gotta say call Mike J. Michael Jackson. Ain't nobody got that
I
number.
think he said call Mike Biv. Probably she probably said.
Call
Biv.
Mike Biv. Call
But
Mike Biv.
I don't know if this is the. All right,
Who's this?
Michael Bivins, some new edition.
He's driving me out of my mind. He's not gonna answer. You're not going. Yeah, you're not going.
You know you, Jay?
Stop.
Yeah, let's call Kobe.
Hello?
Yo, Biv.
Yes?
Oh, wrong number.
No, is that Michael
I'm
Bivins?
afraid so.
All right. You know Mike?
You know Michael Bivins?
Mike Bivins?
Yeah.
Yes.
God, I haven't had a phone call for him in years. I got this number 10 years ago, and it just happened to be Mike's old number, and I get these calls all the time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, we're from a radio station. Can you hear me? We're from a radio station.
We were good friends about 10 years ago, like you said, yeah. And I ain't got his new number. I figured let me try it. And you
I wish I had his number for you, but tell him I want concert tickets. My name is Tom.
Wait, Tom. Are you a fan of Michael Bivins? Are you a fan?
Can you hear? Are you a fan of Michael Bivins?
I don't know his music at all.
Oh, he don't know, but all right. But Tom, sorry to harass you this early in the morning, but
No, I'm up and at him, so no problem.
all right, Tom. All righty.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank
Tom.
you. Bye.
All right, Tom.
Do you see how happy he is about life when you're white? Do you see how happy? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
That's exactly what I'm talking about right now.
You call somebody black this early, they mad. What? They angry.
I don't know that dude. I don't know
I
that dude.
wish I had Mike's number. I'd give it to you right now.
Michael Sean and the Takeover Legends. Your escape from reality. Right here on Free Agent Radio.
Welcome back. Okay, so we're going to get into my last discussion for the night. Self-advocacy, medication side effects. So now, Carly, you can pull up drugs.com for me. So this week, I was talking to my counselor, and we were discussing. So first of all, let me tell you a rule of thumb, something I live by. Before I take any medication, yes, I read the pamphlets that the pharmacy gives me, but I also go on drug.com and scroll down a little bit, Carly. So the main thing I want to point out tonight is the drug interaction report. One thing that there's an element of taking any medication, whether it's a prescription, whether it is a supplement, whether It's just, even for a headache, something minor, you can have a bad interaction with the medication you take. So Trintellix, you guys have probably seen the commercials for it, and look at them. They're all across the banner. That is an antidepressant. So when COVID first happened, my doctor's like, oh, I think it's going to help you relax. You know, she's really selling it because quite frankly, I will be honest, I could not turn my brain off. If I went to the store for myself and my mother, I would think, oh, did I encounter someone with COVID? How do I know they washed their hands? How do I know that they washed their hands when they picked my groceries? I mean, it would just go on and on and on. And I was not sleeping at night. So she was like, oh, let me give you this other pill. And that's the mirtazapine. Coming to find out, both of those are antidepressants. Now, I have already told her that I'm not a big fan of antidepressants. So she was like, oh, let me put you on a low dose. Carly, can you scroll down some on this page? If you look at 2 medications prescribed by the doctor, she's aware of all my health conditions, all the results from all of my stuff, but she still gave me 2 medicines that are known to have major and moderate interactions with one another. So I was discussing with my counselor, and I was like, yeah, so my doctor, you know, of course, she's like, because everybody in America wants to be doped up on something, not me. Okay. So she was like, no, she's like, technically I'm talking to you and I've talked to you a few times. And she's like, you're not that depressed. She was like, nothing more than the average person who has responsibilities and is living life. I've even had extra stuff going on in my life and I still didn't qualify to need that. So you'll have doctors, and even the best intentions will give you medications that are not good for you. So there should be systems in place, because everyone is not going on drugs.com like I am. Your pharmacy, that's why it's important to know or go to one pharmacy so they can look at your drug history, because they should get alerts. It should pop up on their system, because I know for a fact my son went to a pharmacy. We went to one at Tom Thumb, and there were 2 prescriptions they were trying to fill. They were like, no. They were like, the doctor needs to give us a detailed explanation why he is comfortable prescribing these 2 medications, because there's a known interaction. I don't care how minor that interaction may be. If there's an interaction, please know your body will have some type of recourse. There are some people that immediately look for like weight gain. Can they, have alcohol with medications? Yes, those are important. But as you can see, under moderate with mirtazapine, food, alcohol can increase the nervous system side effects. See, there are things we eat that could be increasing the side effects, and we don't know. So that one happy hour drink could be deadly, where you have people who were on, I think there was at one point, Ambien was getting a real bad rap as a sleeping drug, because people would have, I think maybe if they had wine with it, it would somehow increase some of the effects. But you look at all of this, these are even at a low dose. Because like my counselor pointed out, she was like, it's not even saying at what dose would any of these potential side effects happen. So first of all, I'm bringing this up to remind us again, you are your own best advocate. Ask questions. Don't just take it because they're giving it to you. If you're wondering how come you've tried 3 antibiotics and one is not working, guess what? We're all different. and you could be on a blood pressure medicine or hormonal medicine that's preventing the blood pressure or the antibiotic from working correctly or causing it to have side effects. I was going through major constipation, and everyone was quick to blame my thyroid condition. But if I go further down on side effects of both of these medications can cause constipation. So guess what? I could be doing all the right things, but I'm taking something else that's not even being considered as a medication. So let me tell you guys what I have done for myself and my son. Everyone's phone app has a note app, right? I don't know if you can see this, but what I do, I create notes that list everything from the fiber I take, the omega-3s that I take, my daily vitamins, because believe it or not, you see right here at the bottom, it says including vitamins and herbs. You could take something that could cause deadly side effects. So, and when you're wondering, well, I thought 1 + 1 = 2. I'm watching what I eat. I'm exercising and I'm doing this, that, and the other. But here, I could be experiencing side effects that could be counterproductive to the goals I'm trying to make or I'm trying to achieve. So I remember when I was talking to my endocrinologist, one of the first things she did was she said, let's look at your medications because maybe something is the culprit and we don't know it. And I think we found it. And here's the thing. I would like to believe that my doctor was not negligently prescribing prescriptions that shouldn't be taken together, because I did have monthly or quarterly meetings or tag ups with her to check progress. Here's the thing, and they have that disclaimer on most of the prescriptions that even though you experience these side effects, your doctor or healthcare provider has provided this prescription for a reason. I'm going to call BS on that because at some point, like I had to ask a doctor once, are you getting a kickback from them that you keep pushing this drug on me? And I've told you that it's giving me all of these side effects. She got so offended, but she never answered the question. See, we have to learn to read between the lines and be our best advocate and ask hard-ass questions, because you know what? Doctors are humans too. They make mistakes. And you need to realize that if you've been on a medication, first of all, medications are not meant to be a lifelong fix for the issue. They're meant to be situational and short term. Unless you have something like my thyroid that now I have to take replacement hormones for that. When I heard a doctor say, first of all, if doctors are constantly prescribing you something, and if they're not seeing, improvement, they're being negligent. They're being lazy. And when I think about it, me being lazy at work is one thing. I would think my laziness wouldn't be tied to someone's life. But when doctors are lazy, when they're not on their game, guess what? They have the same stress and the same challenges in life that you do. The difference is they are still responsible for supposedly providing care for individuals. So as I've told you, and even as my friends that I had Salim on last week, when you go to your doctor's visits, make out a list of questions. Tell them specifically, hey, this said, and if they're not looking at you, make them stop what they're doing to engage you one-on-one, to give you eye contact, to respect you at that moment. Because you have to let them know, hey, I took this and I felt a rash, or I took this and I felt dizzy when I woke up, or I couldn't quite, get moving, or I was very tired, lethargic. I remember there was one week when I couldn't get out of bed. I felt so bad. And I didn't want to say anything because I had just gone through the treatment and I was like, I don't even want to talk about it. I'm tired of feeling tired. And trust me, unless you're just one of those crazy people who looks for attention and you think being sick will get you attention, I'm not like that. But I finally, swallowed my pride and I reached out to my endocrinologist and I told her, I said, I am feeling horrible. I could barely get out of bed. I was working from my bed. So regardless of what they say, I do have a designated space that I consider my office. It's not all fancy like I want it to be, but it's where I work. But I can even come from that room to this room. And she was like, first of all, give yourself some grace. She was like, you've had a lot going on. But secondly, let's look at some blood work. I appreciate doctors who can look at the science. One thing I will say with my son's seizure medications, his doctors can pull his blood work and they can see the levels of medication in his system. I appreciate that because at no point would I want my son walking around not having the proper level of medication and he could pass out somewhere and no one wouldn't know. He has a medical alert necklace, but still, he could be out one night and the necklace is not the first thing people see, and his seizures don't look like a traditional epileptic seizure. So people would just think, oh, maybe he passed out. And that wouldn't be the case. So you have to pay attention. And especially when you are someone who you don't exactly follow the doctor's rules anyway. And I understand being a rebel because we all have had our experiences. But as you go through, remember, it is important to look up your side effects, to ask questions. And if you can't get your doctor to answer your questions, your pharmacy, they're another great ally to have. I cannot tell you how much I love the pharmacist that works at Tom Thumb and Trophy Club and Walgreens at Trophy Club. Yes, they see me and Colin, they know us. And so the first thing I ask when my son is being given a new prescription, what should I look out for? Will this interact with any of his other medications? And okay. And his medications. And I always try to be an advocate. So I'm going to tell you something. Don't put that responsibility on someone else. You can read. And believe it or not, if you can read, there's so many text-to-speech apps that you can download that can read the whole screen for you. You just have to have the ability to want to be an advocate for yourself. Don't put it on your loved ones. Don't put it on someone else. You do it for yourself. Read it. If there's a word you don't know, highlight the word, open another screen, have Google or Apple or Siri or whoever pronounce the word for you. There are all sorts of ways to get around it. And parents, seriously, your children are still growing. One of my classes that I took during my undergrad was abnormal psych. And one of the things that I took, one of the key lessons I took away from that class was your children are still developing even after you have them. That's why now you'll see the parents who have the large incomes with the little head braces, because my grandmother knew that you needed to shape your child's head a long time ago, but now people are paying for special braces to do it. Okay, yeah. But your child is still developing. Be very cautious about the different things you introduce into your child's life and at what age. There are people who are more passionate about taking care of their pets than they are their children. That's another topic for another day. But I will say this. As you are looking into medication or even eating choices for your children, here was one thing that I didn't realize when Kylan was little. He used to love fish and salmon, but it was the omega-3 that he, or the DHA that he could get from the fish that he liked. So I tried to limit some of the bad exposure, and I would get better quality products for him to eat. And your children can't be the advocate that they need yet. They're still growing and learning. So some of the hyperactivity medicine, some of the attention deficit disorder medicine, yeah, do some research on it. Look at the long-term effects. Look at the effect on their bodily systems, their kidneys, their livers, their heart. Because you don't know what that can do long-term. Believe it or not, all those student athletes that sometimes pass out mysteriously, most of them have heart aneurysms. How do I know? Because when we went to Kylan's geneticists and he told us one of the genes that he was missing, it can actually cause heart aneurysms. I've always heard of brain aneurysms, didn't know that the heart could get an aneurysm. See, there are things that even up until they're 20-something, that your kids still need care. So pay attention to that. Look at those side effects. You know, if people are going ape shit over red dye, was it red dye 23, then you need to go just as ape shit over pharmaceuticals. Because pharmaceuticals are just like those labels when you go to the grocery store. They go out of their way not to tell you the exact formula, what's in there. And make sure you're storing it properly. That was something else I found out with my thyroid medicine, because I take the gel capsule. So I'm used to like rolling over, picking up the pill, taking it. I would just store my medicine on my nightstand. But my nightstand, even though I don't open the blinds in my bedroom all the time, the sun still the heat from the sun still comes in that way, right? Or the cold. And you have to keep this medicine in a specific temperature. So they suggested, instead of leaving it on the nightstand, put it in the drawer. And I was like, oh, dang. And I've noticed, maybe that's kind of crazy, but I've noticed that it's made a difference. So as I get back to, the two medicines that my doctor prescribed me, so I started weaning myself off of the evening one. And I started finding better alternatives and ways to help me sleep at night. And making sure that I tire myself out. So before we start just putting pharmaceuticals in our body, check them out, because think about it. If you're supposed to have at least one good bowel movement a day, technically you're supposed to have 3 if everything is going right. And you don't even have one, Houston, there's a problem. And to not have one good one for several days in a row leading up to weeks, that's a problem. And we have to realize that if we're eating different foods, our body should process them better. if we're eating better quality foods. Should process them better, not worse. So remember, you have to be your own best advocate. Talking to your girlfriends or your friends or your homeboys about it, that's one thing. They're not going to always know the answer because unless they are a doctor, but most of us are not. And just because they're a nurse or they work at a hospital doesn't mean that. There are some administrators, they work at hospitals and they don't know anything about medication, but they know a whole hell of a lot about running a medical facility. So let's use common sense. And let's look at some of the things, because believe it or not, it was just a few years ago that people took Tylenol and died from it. You know, they bought it off the shelf. And I thank God that I wasn't born during that time, because I know my paranoid ass would walk around with migraine, would be afraid to take anything. So we have to be careful what we put in our body. And we have to know that they're being made in labs, in facilities where, if just like salmonella is reported on the food, but sometimes the medication recalls are not found out until enough people pass away. Why are we giving them that much power? See, that's legislation that they should be writing more information about. But they didn't. They chose to write it on abortion. And again, that's it. I'm going to let that go. But if you need help or you need suggestions, mind you, I am not a medical professional. I am just giving you common everyday advice on how to live, how to be the best you possible. So, but if you have questions, you can reach me at my website or on my YouTube channel. My website is beyondtoday4tomorrow.com. Submit a question. And I know I have to get better with updating my blog, but I'm doing it. Submit a question, and maybe I can help you find some resources to help you find the best medication for you. I do know that they're supposed to be developing tests that can look at your blood type and tell you what medications would work best for you. I think that would be phenomenal for people with heart conditions, who suffer from high blood pressure, who have suddenly developed diabetes, type 2 diabetes. I think there are even cases where people are developing type 1 diabetes, which is very, very weird. But yeah, to help you find, or kind of troubleshoot so you can know what to say to your provider. Because we all just can't just keep taking the same thing, and we all can't walk around and not take care of ourselves. So this week, it was more me ranting, and I appreciate all of you that hung in there. Next week, we're going to be joined by our trainer, Miss J, and we're going to be talking about health and fitness. We're going to talk about making small changes today that can add years to your life. We're going to talk about eating healthy, but we're going to have someone tell us, how to start small. Rome wasn't built in a day, so we don't have to do everything all at once. But we want to talk about getting back into the gym. I know a lot of people have gotten away from the Peloton type fitness routine now that the gyms are back open. And sometimes you're overwhelmed or kind of nervous. We're going to talk to Jay about getting back into the gym and, developing a routine and, fitness buddies, finding options of working with personal trainers. Because there are people out there that will help you achieve your fitness goals. So I'm excited about that. I thank you all for tuning in. This has been Valerie with Beyond Today for Tomorrow. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.